a few weeks ago, the WBA ordered their interim heavyweight champion, Luis Ortiz, to defend his title against Alexander Ustinov. And the fight has to take place on or before June 19th this year. But Team Ustinov have come out in the past few days and said they're not going to be ready for that fight anytime soon. So Team Ortiz have decided to take a stay busy fight against Alexander Dimitrenko. And that fight will take place on March 5th on HBO. I think that this is the perfect stay busy fight for Luis Ortiz because Dimitrenko is of very similar dimensions to Alexander Ustinov, and also Dimitrenko is of similar dimensions to most of the top heavyweights out there, like Vladimir Klitschko, like Tyson Fury, like Deontay Wilder. Dimitrenko stands, I believe, 6'7.5" or 6'8", around there. He don't have the power or the boxing skill of the other fighters I mentioned, in terms of Fury, Klitschko, Wilder. But in terms of Ustinov, he probably moves a little bit better than Ustinov. Might be slightly shorter, but very, very similar dimensions. So I think this is a perfect stay busy fight for Luis Ortiz. I'm not quite as sold on Ortiz as a lot of other people seem to be just yet. Yes, it was an impressive win over Jennings, but I don't know. People say that he had flu or some type of cold in the Jennings fight and he was spitting out phlegm and all this type of stuff. And they say that that's the reason why some people thought he looked like he was gassing a bit in that fight. Because I certainly thought he looked lethargic and looked like he was gassing at points. But people say, no, Hatman, he was sick. And that's the reason why. His stamina is going to be just fine. But I don't know, man. I'm not completely sold on his stamina. And that's the issue I have. Also, when he's fighting a much taller opponent who's able to keep him on the end of their punches, I know Ortiz does have a long reach himself, but still, if he's fighting a tall guy with an even longer reach who can move, how's he going to cope with that? You know, I'm not sure, because he's going to have to exert a lot of energy cutting off the ring and trying to trap these guys in corners and making them fight. And while he's doing that, he's going to have to be defending himself from their punches as well. Can he do that? Another issue or potential issue could be Luis Ortiz's age. A lot of people have cast aspersions over Luis Ortiz's age. He's apparently 36, but a lot of people seem to doubt that, including Tony Thompson. You know, Tony Thompson's never short of a few words, and he's come out recently, you know, launching a verbal attack at Luis Ortiz, saying Ortiz is a HBO hype job, that he'll beat Ortiz, that he'll do this, that, and the other to him. And he said that Luis Ortiz looks older than he is. Tony Thompson, I believe, is 42 or 43 years old. And he's claiming that Ortiz is probably older than that. I don't know. I don't know the situation with athletes coming out of Cuba. Whether it's like athletes who come out of Africa, for example. In Africa, it's seemingly very easy to get hold of fake birth certificates or doctored birth certificates, which then allow African sportsmen, particularly football players. And when I say football players, I mean football, not American football. I'm talking about actual football, the stuff that the rest of the world plays, you know, outside of the United States. No offense to any, you know, North Americans, but I'm talking about actual football where you kick a ball with your feet. Hence the name football. Anyway, a lot of African football players manage to get hold of fake documents and lie about their age so that they can get, you know, contracts for big football clubs all over Europe. That is a very widespread phenomenon, right? With African football players that are actually pushing 40 and yet they're joining clubs in Europe claiming to be in their early 20s. Now, whether Luis Ortiz has done that, I don't know. He's from Cuba. He's not, you know, from an African citizen of an African country. I don't know if that kind of stuff goes on in Cuba as well. Maybe it does. Who knows? But Tony Thompson obviously suspects that it does because he's not convinced that this guy's actually 36. I don't know. What do you think? Does it matter? And let me know what you think about Luis Ortiz facing Alexander Dimitrenko. You think that's a good fight? You think that's a good stay busy fight? Are you convinced by Ortiz? Or are you more like me, still has some, you still have some reservations about him? Let me know in the comment section below, people. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.